Always keep the buffer for unknown and known unknowns. Don't forget that there are two of them. And don't neglect the time that is needed to implement the features. Hey there, Andre here from Glorium Technologies, talking about the common mistakes when outsourcing your software development. And today I'm going to focus on the problem of being too aggressive or overly optimistic with your software development plans when working with your outsourcing vendor. So yes, everyone wants their product to be delivered yesterday. That's a very common, very well-known thing. But everyone understands it's impossible, and also in the software industry, the problem is that every digital product that is built is being built once and the first time. Okay, yes, we're using tons of pre-built frameworks and components. It is true, but the final result, the end result, is only being built the first time and only being built once. So whenever you are building, since you're building it first time, you're not only building, you're also learning. And that's why it's actually called not just development, it's called research and development. And while the theory is simple, but for whatever reason, many startups, when they're in their journey of building the product, they just simply tend to ignore the fact that there are unknowns there and that there is a research embedded into your development. Okay, because of that, there is not enough buffer, and the result is many startups actually failing to follow their plan and failing the expectations, and severely. So what I can say here is always make a buffer, of course, for both known and unknown unknowns. Don't forget about, always keep it in mind. And another mistake I want to talk about here is that many startups also happen to ignore the implementation details and the efforts needed in order to do the implementation. They simply, so usually after the feature is completely mapped and the technical solution is provided for the feature, it is pretty much clear how it should behave and what it should look like at the end. And at that point of time, usually the stakeholders, usually happens on the product level, executive level, they just say, well, okay, so it's pretty much understood. It's simple, right? And they expect the delivery almost immediately. Well, hell no. Just because you said it's simple, you understand how it should work on the high level, doesn't mean that the development team doesn't need any time in order to make a delivery for you, in order to make the implementation and deliver this working feature for you. This is very important. You should remember that, okay, they need to provide to do the implementation. They need to do the testing, of course, and the testing is going to uncover tons of bugs. Those bugs will need to be fixed. It has to be tested again. So basically, there is a process behind it. And just because you understand on the product level how it works, don't neglect or don't minify the problem of having the proper amount of time to actually implement and deliver this feature. Okay, so to conclude, two biggest mistakes that you have to remember and that you have to mitigate in your plans. Always keep the buffer for unknown and known unknowns. Don't forget that there are two of them. And don't neglect the time that is needed to implement the features. Just because you understand how it should work on the product level, it doesn't mean that there is no time needed in order to implement and deliver this feature. In majority of the cases, what those mistakes lead actually to is that executives or startup owners, they always just because they underestimate all of those efforts, the outsourcing vendor that they are working with, of course, they under-deliver, quote unquote, according to their expectations, and they actually very often ruin the relationship with their otherwise perfect vendor. Just because they think they're not performing according to their expectation. It's not that they're doing wrong. It's otherwise very perfect vendor. It's your expectations are completely wrong. So don't ruin the relationship only because of the fact that they are underperforming according to your expectation only. Okay, so remember about it, because if this is the case, you can change 20 different vendors and it's not going to improve the situation for you. In fact, it's only going to make it worse. All right, so again, hope it's going to be helpful with your current or future relationship with your outsourcing vendors, and stay tuned, and I will see you next time.